Hello everyone, my name is the Mad Scorpion, and welcome back to another reset update for Destiny 2 on the week of April the 29th. Now, getting right into it, I'm sure as you can see behind me, there's certainly something interesting going on with Destiny with this new chess puzzle. I'm already seeing articles or something that says, here's how to find all 60 of the supposed chess pieces. Not gonna lie, it looks interesting, but unless it's a key to another exotic quest or something, probably going to skip it just for now, just because the drive isn't really there to go scavenger hunting right now. Now, I should also state the obvious, sorry I missed out on last week in terms of the usual videos, you know, the reset on Tuesday, the This Week in Destiny on Thursday, and the still kind of loosely consistent Zero on Friday. I was dealing with something that kind of just had my brain out of extra work, like do the bare minimum because I just needed a bit of a time. So with that, let's get into the main lines of this week. Starting off, we do have Iron Banner. Of course, that has started and will be going on for the next week. A few of its respective modes active per the usual, but at the same time, this is, I think, possibly one of the last ones of the week. I'm not sure if they actually listed more in the future, but then again, we still don't know when the Edge of Fate is going to start officially, which will be the end of this season, so Bungie is likely to add more in case this is the last one. Moving on though, we do also have double Crucible ranks in addition to the Iron Banner, so keep that in mind. If you're looking to grind out Iron Banner, you can also double dip and get some extra Crucible rewards from your rank ups there. Now, to just go straight into everything else without rotating locations, we do have for our Nightfall this week, the Insight Terminus, which I think is almost the perfect Nightfall in terms of just being a Nightfall. It hasn't really changed much over the years, and even with the introduction of new builds and everything else like that, it's maybe a little bit easier because running back through, there was a bit of a blitz, but at the same time, it's still difficult enough and there's still enough tense scenarios that it could be a terrible Grandmaster if you're not experienced enough, but if you are experienced enough, it's just enough that it may catch you a little bit off guard. Now, the weapon available this week is the Plug.ONE Arc Vertical Frame Fusion Rifle, which is in such of an odd state of fusion rifles, especially right now, because per the usual with particle deconstruction, this might be one of the recommended things. And there are many other fusion rifles that do have wonky rolls, thinking back to, I believe, the fusion from the Dawning event that had something like Overflow and Reservoir Burst, which went pretty nicely together. I don't remember off the top of my head if any of these have something spectacular, but I do remember there being something on Plug.ONE worth getting if you are a fan of fusion rifles. However, into the Crucible, we have no labs this week and no trials again because we do have active Iron Banner, but 3v3 right now is competitive and elimination, with 6v6 being the usual Iron Banners of Fortress, as well as I believe Iron Banner Control because they usually have the two modes. Then there is also Team Scorch for some Scorch Cannon free-for-all, and then, you know, actual free-for-all of Rumble. Now, getting into our main featured activities for the week, on raid side, we have Vow of the Disciple and the Last Wish raid. These are all kind of in a state of current, you know, matters. Aside from one detail regarding Last Wish, it does not have a master mode, which means there is no focused armor you can earn, and there is no adept weaponry you can earn. However, in terms of everything else, there is raid challenges that can be infinitely farmed if you're hunting gear. If you're hunting gear, there is red borders in case you're hunting craftable weapons, and at the same time, there is the classic exotic in case somehow you or one of your friends is recently joined or still hunting those exotics. This is a good time to try and hammer some out to either get, you know, challenges for what's the words? I'm looking for boosted exotic drop rates, or just to get to the exotic drop period. At the same time, though, like I mentioned, Vow of the Disciple, it has the master mode, so you can hunt adept weapons, and the armor you can farm for is strength-focused armor in case you wish to go there. But then going into our dungeons, we have Grasp of Avarice and the Vesper's Host. Possibly two of the best dungeons right now, mainly because, like I mentioned with Grasp of Avarice every time it's around, it's current, but not totally current, so it's one of the easier master modes in case you're looking to farm Artifice Armor, and it's generally farmable, at least in terms of the rotation, in terms of getting to damage phase with the final boss. That cannot be the same said about the Vesper's Host, because it does take a little bit of effort, which you can streamline it and make it faster, but there's still a lot of work to be done between phases. In that main perspective though, there isn't any red borders earned from either of these dungeons per the usual. Dungeons don't have craftable weapons, however there is good weapons sourced from both of them, And in the versus aspect of this Vespers host, it does have the Icebreaker random drop, as well as the Catalyst available from Master Mode challenges, but then there is Grasp of Avarice with Gallahorn. That is a quest-based thing. You may need the Master Mode for something Gallahorn rated, I forget officially, but it isn't a random drop. It is a quest initially for the main exotic. Then into our, speaking of exotic though, exotic mission, the Nord Avalon mission, which is where you earn the Vexed Caliber exotic glaive. Essentially, if you are struggling to survive with glaives, this one can give you a leg up on survivability. So with that, in addition to a craftable mode that has a few various good options, as well as just a pretty solid projectile being a shotgun blast, pretty solid glaive. It's still one of my more favored in terms of glaives, considering they're probably my least used weapon archetype next to sidearms. So I would recommend picking this up, as like I said, if you're looking for some survivability or even just a good void flavoring to any random elemental build. Not to mention there is also the weapons from Season of the Riven that can possibly drop from this exotic mission that can help you acquire red borders even past earning or past current times. Then wrapping it all up with our raids right now in terms of activities, we have Salvation's Edge with the Coordinated Efforts Challenge, the Crota's End being bugged and not having any challenges currently. The Root of Nightmares is the Crossfire Challenge, aka second encounter challenge. King's Fall is Devious Thievery, which I believe is the Sisters or Daughters challenge. Then there is Vile Disciple being featured, which means all challenges are active and infinitely farmable. The Vault of Glass is the Out of Its Way challenge, which is the Templar challenge. The Deepstone Crypt is Red Rover, aka First Encounter or Security challenge. A little slog, that one. The Garden of Salvation is To the Top, which I forget which this one is. I think it's First Encounter, but still never learned that one per se. And lastly, with Last Wish, it is the featured raid. So once again, all challenges are active and infinitely farmable. And to wrap it all up in terms of activities, we have Salvation's Edge featuring Strength Focused Armor as well, in addition to its Master Mode and Adepts. Now into our seasonal challenges for the week. As the weeks go by, we get closer and closer to week 15, which I believe is the typical end when it comes to new weekly challenges. So in case you're still hunting any new ones, here is some more to go for. We have Linear Launch, defeating combatants with linear fusion rifles or rocket launchers with bonus progress granted in the usual of Heresy activities. And we have Bane Reaper for defeating combatants with Banes, additional progress granted in episode Heresy activities. Neptune activities, which is the usual of completing bounties, patrols, public events, and lost sectors, specifically on Neomuna. The Stranded Ritual, where in any ritual activity, defeat targets with Strand ability final blows, bonus progress for defeating Guardians, and for Strand super final blows. The Fleeting Glory, for completing Crucible matches in the competitive playlist, bonus progress for wins, but not required. As well as Precision Calibration for calibrating marksman's weapons, including scout rifles, snipers, and leader fusions, by landing Precision Final Blows specifically, and as always, bonus progress with Guardians. Now for our cosmetics in the week. Quick side note, did you guys know that there was a new RGB shader in the store right now with the Shade Gleam shader? Personally, I like it, but also don't know if it's worth, because it is a part of one of those bundles that you have to get a bunch of other things with them, otherwise you're not going to be able to get it. They are a little bit dumb about putting unique stuff and forcing us to pay for it. But however, in terms of Bright Dust, we have at the start Iridescent Coral, which is basically just very bright, shiny blue prismatic. There's no good way to say it otherwise. This could look really good on a prismatic build, full on. And we also have Atmospheric Glow, which barely has much glow. The only reason this actually has glow is because of the Taken armor. Now, it doesn't look half bad, but at the same time, it's basically just dark green and more green and a little bit of white. It's just kind of not really glowing. And we also have the Ossified Entrance, which I believe is supposed to be a Scorpion Stinger Tail entrance from Season of the Chosen, that old Celestial set. Then there is the Ghost Fist Bump from Season of the Seraph, where you punch your ghost in the face and give it a concussion, as you can tell from it going flying and constantly circling there. Then into our main store, flares, we have Polished Sea Stone, Irregular Appearance, which there is no good way to say it. It's dark blues, a nice shiny green, and it's pretty solid looking shader, but at the same time, it doesn't exactly look like stone. It looks more just like, what's the word I'm thinking for? Scales, maybe. Then we also have the Tyrian Abyss, which is one of those ones that kind of looks cool, but don't know if I'd ever use it. It kind of is basically like a different version of that Lunar Gloom. On weapons, it is white, black, and blue. On armor, there is white, black, blue, and also purple, so it just kind of mixes all together. Then as well, we have Breezy Clear, which is one of those ones that in certain aspects definitely shaders up kind of poorly. In the essence of this one having nice colors, but then when you get to that orange bit, it's going to be covered in flowers, but nothing else is going to be covered in flowers. Lastly, we have the Royal Protector from Season of the Echoes, whatever it is, which this one actually looks very solid and clean in terms of an armor setup. Even with so many mismatched armors, the white, gold, and purple is actually really good looking regally. I will have to tell my friend about this one because she loves that white, gold, and purple. Next, as well, there is Transmats. We have the Dark Blade entrance, which is just you popping out of a Dark Blade sword, which is inaccurate because Dark Blades usually have the Executioner's axe. Then there is the Cabal Shield Breaker from Season of Dawn, which is just kind of Cabal logo effects. There isn't even a visible shield. And then there is one from Season of Echoes, which is the Renewal entrance, which is a different colored version of a Traveler spawn entrance. For our big ticket items, we have the Flaming Hula Hoop from Season of the Haunted, which, you know, there isn't much else to say. It's just kind of this, and it's another one of those ones that just kind of ends. Well, it actually does have an animation, though, so otherwise. There is ornaments for every specific class, which I will cover them in addition right now. They have the Pyretic Footfalls for Titan, which is a very solid look for Path of the Burning Steps. Very good solo look, burning jets out of your thighs and calves at all times. And I will take this moment right now to show you what every other class has individually. I'm not exactly sure at the moment of recording, so I will hold off my opinions about them just because I don't know what they are. But of course, as always, if you like them, you can take your own opinions about them. Next is the M3D1 or Medi Shell, as it said. This was a part of a kind of ambulance or city medic sort of set. So if you wanted your ghost to be like it is and a, you know, little back from the dead defibrillator, it actually looks like there's a mini defibrillator attached to it. Just a medic ghost, to put it simply. Then there is the Rapid Response from Seasons of the Deep, which I don't think this is, in a similar way, that kind of thing. It is a very compact, bricky ship. This reminds me of the Cybertruck if it mixed with a Mini Cooper and could fly into outer space. Next is the Sweeper Simulant, which is a pun because it is a Street Sweeper Sparrow from the old Season of Defiance Neomuna theme of just, you know, city stuff. So there isn't much else to say about that. But then we also have the High Rolling Low Life, which is a nice spiky barbed look for Malfeasance with a nice regal white and gold clean high roller Gambler look, which is appropriate for Malfeasance being Drifter's new thorn. And Drifter is, as always, a gambler. And then lastly, we have the ship projection, which is just the bastardized Dreadnought, which it isn't even current because it's missing all of the scars that it has from, you know, this season. It's a bit bastardized. But with that, that is the end of the reset update. Once again, I apologize for my absence last week. I just was dealing with something that I unfortunately did not see myself exactly doing work on, if that makes sense. I didn't see myself doing my usual extracurricular activities. Anyone might have seen I may have streamed a few times, but at the same time, that's just me enjoying my friends hanging out and enjoying any company I get along the way with my viewers. But with that, that is where I shall leave this reset update for today. Like I said before, don't know if I'm going to make a video or will be doing the chest challenge period unless it turns out to be a guide for a new exotic weapon or something like that. If it's just an emblem or a shader or like usual when it comes to these, like a ghost shell or something like that, I am definitely going to pass. I am kind of losing that flame of Bungie stuff of acquiring everything for a season. But, you know, that is just me. Like I said, if you are excited, that can be you. I will let you do you. With that, my name is the Mad Scorpion, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.